Realization is the understanding that our true self is beyond body and mind, which also means beyond psychology, culture and conditioning. It is the dissolution of personal psychological self into the being self that is not born and does not die. True consciousness is not the embodied mind, which is a conditioned consciousness, a mere collection of tendencies and activities from our various births. True consciousness is a universal principle and power-like space. It cannot be limited to any body or mind. The mind can at best reflect it, which requires that the mind be still, subtle and sensitive within. We must learn to move from embodied consciousness or mind to the non-embodied universal consciousness in which we transcend our personal self to the universal self. This occurs when we go to the root of the mind and discover the light of awareness that radiates through it. Mind and self-realization. For such higher self-realization, the mind plays a crucial role. The mind can be the instrument for either bondage or liberation, ignorance or enlightenment. If we turn the mind towards the external world as the reality, it becomes a force of attachment and sorrow. If we turn the mind within to the inner being as the reality, it slows down and comes to reflect that higher reality. The minds become a mirror for the light of the self to shine. So turning the mind within is the essence of yoga and meditation. For this, the mind must be first brought to a one-pointed state. A fragmented or distracted mind cannot turn within. This inward turning process can be looked upon very simply as immersing the mind in the deeper consciousness of the inner being that dwells within the heart. The mind's knowledge is conceptual or thought-based. It results in facts, data, information, ideals, theories, opinions, concepts or formulas. Our inner being has a higher kind of knowledge which is radically different from what the mind can know. Our inner being has a special knowledge by identity in which is not colored by thought and its preconceptions. Through one's inner being, one can merge into the inner being of all that one comes in contact to through the body and senses. For most of us, this is a very difficult condition to imagine. But whenever the mind becomes totally concentrated, it experiences a quantum leap in awareness, and a special knowledge arises through inner unity of the seer and the seen. This inner knowledge through identity is the real yogic knowledge that frees us from all bondage and suffering. All the mind knows is simply thought, which is name and form, and but a modification of the mind. True knowledge is knowledge of the being, which arises through pure consciousness when mental activity comes to rest, when the mind becomes cool, calm and silent. So, how to go from mind to consciousness? we must learn to move beyond the mind to pure consciousness, which is to return to our true nature, our inner being. It is to rest in silence, in the silence and peace. Within that, no thought, opinion, belief or conclusion can touch. It is to enter into the realm of being and direct experience where no words can go, which leaves no outer trace, where one becomes everything and nothing. The mind is an excellent tool and instrument for consciousness. It has a wonderful capacity for action, expression, memory and coordination of our outer actions. But if we try to understand consciousness through the mind, we fall into spiritual ignorance and confusion. We wrongly identify our true self and being with our outer being. However, if we abide in pure consciousness, then the mind has its place to help us function in life. But the mind no longer throws its tendencies and impulses upon us as our real motivation. Learn to discriminate between mind and consciousness. Learn to witness the mind. Dwell as the seer of the mind and its modifications. This is the yoga of meditation that empties the mind of its conditioning and allows us to rest in our true nature, to see reality and to go beyond death. The mind of cosmic being is all there is and all there ever was. The physical universe was created from 100% consciousness and nothing else, because consciousness is the only tool available to the Absolute. Remember that infinite being originally created three aspects of itself: thought, feeling and motion. By projecting thought as one type of consciousness and feeling as complementary but different type, it was possible to create different potentials and motions through the interactions of the two. The interaction of thought and feeling is intertwined, just like in the electromagnetism that forms light waves. The two types of energy waves operate in different planes of expression and interact with each other at right angles. Consciousness works in exactly the same manner. Thought and feeling are intertwined and set into motion. From creation of dynamic consciousness, different frequencies of consciousness become possible, as do different degrees of compression. The density layers of consciousness in the universe differ in the degrees of compression. The higher layers are more subtle and more expanded than the tightly focused lower layers. In our third density, physical existence, we can apply the same formula of creation to develop our own potential into everything that it can become. The formula thought plus feeling plus motion in the human realm translates into thought being used to analyze and plan, feeling being employed to bring life into what needs to become manifest, and finally action brings that plan into manifestation. The existence of this formula of creation shows the potential of human creativity quite clearly. It means, quite simply, that you can manifest anything you can imagine. Part of the plan of creation is that each and every one of us will discover and develop realization is the understanding that our true self is beyond body and mind, which also means